Push it to the limit, I can't go no more. Red light, no way, I'm coming back home. Long dirt road, all on my own. I'ma be the greatest, write my name in the stone. Write my name in the stone. Yeah, I'm coming back home. Yeah, I'm coming back home. Write my name in the stone. Cause I'm coming back home. Cause I'm coming back home.
So, man. Bro. Know you're busy.
Yes, extremely.
Got a lot of stuff going. But this episode is really about, I want to give not only artists and musicians, but individuals that are creating, right? Real resources to work with, but I want to give it to them from people that are actually doing it. So I don't know if you've seen the other brand showcases, but you're getting real information.
Absolutely.
So when somebody comes to me for a consult or they say, hey, I want you to help me out, so we have somewhere to point them to, all right? So you've been in the creative space, you've been a worship leader, you've been a brand marketer, you've been a fashion enthusiast, you've been a critic, you've been a consultant, all in 32 short years, right?
Yeah.
And you're still working in the field heavy. And now you're stepping into this next phase of, I'll say it like this, taking the responsibility of your brand upon yourself, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what everyone else views success as, but I view success as someone taking responsibility, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we may not see dollar signs and mansions, right? But that sense of fulfillment, that sense of I'm walking towards my passions, what is within me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of like the direction we're going with this. How you feeling, man?
I feel great. I'm excited to dive in. Let's talk, bro.
Hey, I also do want to shout out to Henry. I know we both like the Henry. The Henry is a dope restaurant. I love their food. They allowed us to come in and do this.
Thank you to the Henry.
And you're a comedian.
Amateur. Very, very, very amateur.
Bro, I legit think that you could put together a set and it will actually kind of be funny.
If I wouldn't be a good comedian because I would be making fun of people, but that would be it. I wouldn't be writing jokes. I would just be like if I could just have conversations with people in the audience, I think I would be a good comedian.
Could you handle a heckler?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think you can handle
I think I could.
I've seen you handle
I handle hecklers every day at work. Okay, they're all hecklers, all right. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
To my coworkers.
All right. Hey, man. So before we order, can you tell us who Ty Wynder is?
I'm me. I mean, I don't know. I'm a lot of things. You went through a long list of stuff, but I think I'm someone that is ambitious, that is goal-oriented. I wear many hats because I have many talents. And so, honestly, I don't know a better way to describe myself right now other than saying, I have dreams, I want to achieve them. To me, it's the right time, the right season to go for all those things. And so that's who I am. So there's Ty Wynder, like the person, all this stuff. And then there's Wynder, which Wynder is like my artist name.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact person, just the two sides. Do you want to?
I want to backtrack because we do this a lot. It's like, it's not false humility, but it's like, let me get this out of the way.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I could have told you other things.
No. Because it's important, the underneath, how you grew up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what your passions are, what started you off in music, this, that, and the other. That stuff is all that drives us today. So
I actually really hate false humility too. So it's the worst. So when you say oh man, you killed it, and they're like, oh, God bless you, thank you so much. Like, you could just say thank you because you worked hard. Hopefully you don't suck if you're like on stage or doing whatever you do. If it's your craft, I would hope you're good at it. And so it's okay to just say thank you.
I think people feel like they have an obligation.
Yeah. Humility is important.
To affirm people. So like when people like say, oh my God, you did so amazing. How many times have you know, I'll just say this. There's many times I know I suck.
Yeah, it wasn't actually amazing. Yeah, for sure.
It was not amazing.
Nah.
And somebody comes to you like, oh my God, that was like great. I actually secretly almost want to chin check them right there.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'll tell them sometimes, well, you know, it really wasn't that great, but I'm so glad you thought it was, you know, cool. Who am I? So I'm Ty. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland.
yes.
Shout
out Baltimore.
I've lived Baltimore, as they say.
Yeah.
I've lived in Arizona. I lived in Arizona for probably about 20 years, and now I live in New York. And so I live in New York because it was my dream since I was a kid to live there. But then years ago, you and I went on a trip there, and that really ignited something in me to where I felt like I wanted to be in a place that was diverse, that had rich culture, that like where there were Black people that loved themselves deeply. And there was something really special about the culture of New York that I really resonated with. And then years later, I decided to sell my car and all my things and move there with 6 suitcases. And so when I talk about being like ambitious or chasing after things, like that's who Ty is right now, because I got tired of just living this life that I wasn't excited about anymore. And so that's who I am now. And so that's how I got to WYNDR, who's just like this brand, but it's me. It's just another side of a coin. It's all Ty, but you know, it's just I'm getting to show people.
Like literally last year, how many countries were you in last year?
Oh, I don't know, maybe like 5 or so, something like that. I don't know. I would have to count. I've been to 2 already this year, but or three this year.
That's the thing that I appreciate about you is you're not waiting on somebody to fly you out, per se.
Yeah, I got a job. I make money.
Right.
And I'm not gonna wait for people to go on trips. I got to a space over the past couple of years where for me, it was like, well, I wanna do something, I can't wait for other people to make it happen for me. And so if you don't have paid time off or you don't have the resources to go, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna still go. And I hope one day you get to go too, but that's just not where I'm at right now. And it's not that I wanna leave people behind, but life is just too short for me to wait on people and wait on things. And so.
And that's where your heart is, so you're gonna go after it.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Let's talk a little bit. I don't know how comfortable you're talking about with this, but let's talk about worship leading.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about your history with it and then where you are now with it.
Yeah, so I was a worship leader, full-time worship leader for a really long time. It started off as like I've been singing in church my entire life. My mom was a worship leader. She still is a worship leader.
Shout out
to Mama Rhonda.
Mama Rhonda.
The GOAT. And she made us sing when we were kids, when we were 5 years old. Me and my twin brother and my older brother, we all formed a group with my mom called All For Him, like the number 4. And we used to travel around the East Coast singing at different churches and stuff. And I used to be so mad because she would make us practice every single day after school. Like kids would be like, oh, can Ty go play? She's like, he's busy. No, what am I busy doing? Harmonizing? Like, let me go play.
That's exactly what you're busy.
But now I'm so grateful for that because it instilled in me like discipline. I wouldn't even be able to sing in the capacity that I do now and travel all over and do what I do if she didn't instill those values in me when I was younger. That being said, when I was a teenager, I was still singing in church. Like I went from choir to like praise and worship team back then. And I had a really good run. And so, and it's not saying I stopped, the run is over, but you know, I went from
full-time run?
Maybe for now.
Okay.
So I went from being a volunteer on a team to eventually a volunteer on the team until eventually a church offered me just like, you know, we'll pay you a few $100s a month. And then after that, I started recording with really large artists doing like maybe BGVs or overdubs or whatever. And then from there, I got offered like positions at churches to be a worship leader. And I did that for a really long time.
Yeah.
And
Is it as glamorous as one 18 to 25-year-old may think it is?
No. And here's the thing, when we were growing up in church, no one really had the desire to be a worship leader or a pastor unless you like really grew up in church.
Yeah.
But we didn't have like these schools like GCU and Liberty that had worship leader, it's like I'm going to school for worship arts. I'm getting a bachelor's in worship arts. And I'm like, what is that? We didn't have that. Everybody I knew was bivocational, so they worked at a church, or where they worked a regular job, and then they also were at church full time. And so I didn't have a desire to be a worship leader. This was just a call that I had, and I stepped into it. That being said, no, it's not that glamorous. It's a hard work. You sacrifice a ton of time. It's not about you, and so you sacrifice a lot. Yeah. And that can come with like some of your own hopes and dreams and desires and passions. And a lot of times you hear them say, for the mission of whatever house of the Lord you're a part of. And, it's really great if you feel called to that.
Yeah.
And if you're not called to it, don't do it.
I love it. No, so you're not shaming anybody that's in that season.
No, and I still lead worship to this day. I led yesterday, and I'll lead in a couple of weeks, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not the only thing that I have going for my life right now. There was this time in life where it was the end all be all, and that was great for what it was for that season. But right now, it's a part of what I get to do.
Yeah.
But it's not my entire life.
I love it. It's evolution.
Yeah.
All right. After the worship leading part, I wanted to address that. Now, from your perspective, from Ty's perspective, actually from Wynder's perspective, tell us what it really looks like to be a music industry professional.
It's fun. It's tough. I think when you hear about the music industry, a lot of what you hear about is true. I mean, I can't speak to those YouTube videos that people would create in like the 2000s talking about Illuminati and stuff. I don't know anything about that. I haven't experienced. No one's pulled me in a room and asked me to sell my soul or anything like that. But people are just it's brutal. And I live in New York. I specifically live in Brooklyn. I work in Manhattan, and it's fast paced. People don't really care about your feelings. They're not concerned if they screw you over. They just want to be successful and to make money and to sell tickets to shows or whatever respective area they work in the entertainment industry, and they're not concerned about you. And so you just have to learn to have some thick skin and really to take whatever you're working on, save all of your content, all of your stuff, whatever, so you can move on to bigger and better things after. And that's honestly what everybody's doing. It's like it's just a stepping stone to whatever you have, whatever you want to do next is the biggest thing. But yeah, the music industry entertainment industry is challenging, but also very fun. I get to see some of the greatest shows ever. I get to partner with some of the best artists in the world, and I get to not only do I get to be in those environments, but I'm really inspired by those people too. So it's caused me to step into artistry on my own now, getting to watch some of the best people and glean from what I'm learning from being in those spaces with them and being in the industry, and then hopefully do it better. And I mean, what better? I mean, character-wise better.
Yes. And why I want to talk about this, we're going to sit with this for a little bit, because in a lot of what I do, not only with IGuru, but the various full-time jobs I have, I do a lot of consulting. I do a lot of, we say harsh criticism. I don't know if we would consider it harsh criticism, but it's based off of what our awareness is of what is base requirement in not only the industry, but in terms of branding, in terms of what the eye is not attracted to, but gravitates towards. There's actual laws, there's actual principles behind a lot of these things. And in the music industry per se, or the entertainment industry, branding, marketing, the ones that are the most successful at it are ruthless. Are completely ruthless. I think of that movie, Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, great movie.
But shed a little more light. Obviously, I'm not condoning being rude to people and overly harsh and non-empathetic, but I think it's important for people to understand if they're going to move forward, if they're going to actually be able to compete in the space from a branding perspective, from a listening perspective, you're going to have a certain level of tough skin, especially based off of what the standard is in the industry that we're here in the Western, part of the role.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. You can't be lazy. I know so many people that are like, man, I wish I could do what you do, but it's like, well, then you can't work a 9 to 5. Like, then you have to learn how to hustle, and maybe you lose a little bit of sleep because you're up working late. And I don't condone the lack of rest, just to be clear. I think people need to have Sabbaths. They should rest. At the same time, when you're building something, it requires a little bit more of you, and so you can't just go to work and go home. Like, you network, you learn how to be friendly with other people that you may not even enjoy being around that much.
That's standard.
Yes, this is just normal.
That's normal.
Yeah, you go to different events. You go to shows that maybe you don't want to go to all the time because you're exhausted, but you realize that making connections and relationships are important, and not for the sake of using people, for the sake of just actual community. I'm able to call on certain friends to maybe help out with certain things because I develop a relationship with them over time, not because I met them at an event and I'm like, oh, you do this, you create content, let me call you up. It's like, no, these are my friends now, or industry professionals that I really respect and they respect me too. But yeah, it's still tough, but you just gotta...
You have to get your weight up. Like,
you gotta get your weight up.
Discipline and your mindset towards what is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like that has to completely go.
Yeah, and talent is not enough. Like, it's not, being talented is not enough. Talent is not enough. The way you look is not enough. Like, all of it matters, and they all go hand in hand. How you present yourself to the world matters. Being a good hang, like being pleasant to be around is important.
Talk about how you present yourself to the world, because I don't think, I'm telling you, man, I don't know how many different rooms that I'm in, and this is a conversation that consistently persists way longer than it needs to. And it's not from the perspective of judgy, but literally no one hears what you say if you don't present yourself a certain way. Or talk about that just a little bit, man.
Yeah, the first thing people see is how you look. They don't care how you sound. They don't care about your resume. Like, when you walk into a room, they see you, and that is it. Before you open up your mouth, and so it's important. I think if we're more specific, some of us, depending on your ethnicity, are maybe judged a little bit harder, and so the way you present yourself in the world is absolutely important. You can't just run around looking however you want, and you will absolutely miss out on opportunities sometimes. You're gonna pass you over to someone that they feel like takes life more seriously. Like,
oh my God.
You just can't look like you're rolling out of bed. And I really, like, it's sometimes, it's unfortunate, but also, like, why would you not want to care about how you look? Why would you not care about how you present yourself? Well, you don't have to be, like, deeply into fashion or spend a lot of money.
You're absolutely right. I don't think the majority of people don't care. I believe, and I could be completely wrong, I believe people don't understand the importance of it and the significance of it, because there's that scripture, what does it say? People are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge. And sometimes, I know you've experienced this too, with like being stylist or giving opinions to people about how they look, how they sound, what's better in this scenario. When you show them how they present it and they didn't put as much intent to it, tell us about those experiences when people see how they presented and was like, oh, I didn't know I presented myself that way. Or if I knew that I looked or sounded or was perceived to not have been taking it as serious, I would have done a little more.
I think the best way to describe it is more so when they finally see it. Like, when you help dress someone or you help pick out an outfit and they see a photo of themselves or they see themselves on stage and they look flattering or they look really nice, and then they're like, wait, I could look like this? What? Like, I look good. And it's like, yeah, well, you could always look this way. I like to tell people, no matter what it is, specifically in the season of life I'm in right now, like the only thing that's stopping you is you. Like you're getting your own way most of the time, so you can, go buy a new fit. Also, if this is just like a point for you. If you don't dress well naturally, and that's just not something you're strong in, there's plenty of blogs, there's plenty of resources, there's plenty of Instagram pages and Pinterest boards. Like, it's a matter of excuses to me at some points in time when people are just like, I just don't have good style. Well, you can get help with that.
Yeah, and once again, we're not trying to present as any type of authority on the matter. I think we're discussing that this is a real thing. Right? Especially for creatives and people that are in the industry or in the branding space. Like, it's extremely important. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Tell us a little bit about your work in brand marketing and all of that.
Yeah. So I work in marketing. So I work for the most famous jazz spot in the world based in New York, in Greenwich Village. That's in Manhattan, if you don't know. And we see the world's greatest artists, everyone from like jazz, soul, R&B, hip hop, gospel, Latin music. And I am brand manager for them. So I oversee, like whether it's like socials, content, videography, graphic design stuff. A ton of things that sell that you. Basically what I do is I make sure people know shows are going on, but also that things look good. And so we're trying to make money, and how do people know?
So you're compensated for your expertise.
Yeah.
So you're not just some random person that I got off the street to have a conversation with about this.
No, so I actually moved to New York to work at this place. I lived in Oklahoma City. I was a worship pastor full time. But I've always been heavy in like the creative space, and like what's just anything visual is like what I really feel really passionate about outside of music. And so colliding those worlds together, where it's like I care about people's brands, I love music, and so it made it a really great fit. And so they moved me to New York, and I've been working there for a while now. And
bro, and I think I've said this to you in passing a few times, but I really do want to hire your brand eventually to just be the stylist for my entire family, bro. Like, for me to not have to worry about, me, I'm very like, I'm in the space, I love it, I know it looks good. I'm conservative though, because I ain't got time.
Yeah, I understand.
But yeah, you have that eye, you always have, and obviously, you're good at what you do.
Appreciate it.
Crazy good, by the way.
I'm excited.
Yeah, you're gonna want to build your own
taco over here.
You're gonna want to build your own.
Didn't know I would have to do that, but I'm just playing. I'm excited.
Hey, Henry, we love and appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
He's not at all being petty.
I'm grateful. I'm excited. It's gonna be good.
When did you start being so petty, bro?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just me.
No. You're petty on a insane level. And I don't think people notice it. Well, I do think.
Is this off the record? No, I just like to have a good time, and that just comes with a lot of jokes and sarcasm.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I do want to have a small discussion about the topic of a lot of artists and industry professionals, they kind of hide behind personas of like the label that they work for or the artist that they work with. Oh, I'm doing really well because I just got off a tour.
Yeah, but they're probably broke.
I didn't want to say it.
Oh yeah. It's true. It's okay.
Okay, mainstream artists that we collaborate with, but that doesn't necessarily mean that their house is in order per se. Can you talk to us about what you would perceive as an actual music professional, someone that's dedicated to branding from the music industry perspective? What is your house being in order really look like? What would you say, oh, that person is actually doing it the right way, or they're successful?
I don't know. It's also subjective. I guess
It
that's
really
what you're
is.
asking me, and I could, but like lately when I see like people like Chloe and Halle,
Okay.
like when I see Halle Bailey to me or Willow Smith, to me that's actually success. Like where you're authentically making the kind of music that you want to make, not concerned about like streaming numbers or what critics have to say. Like you're just committed to putting out quality music, which again is still subjective. And building up your authentic audience base, not hiding behind personas. I think Willow is probably a really great example. Even though I don't really listen to her or anything, but when I see her, I really, really enjoy just how her and like Solange, like there are people I see where I'm like, oh, they're getting it right because they release music at their own pace, at their own time. They're not like ran by these machines. They're building up this audience base of people that just really get down with them because they vibe with their music, the way that they look, and present themselves to the world, which comes across as authentic. They're not hiding behind some like persona or like having to put on these crazy fits or whatever. And if that's who you are, that's cool too. But like the unfortunate part about the industry right now is that it's mostly not centered around actual talent. It's like who could crank out the most content, who have the most viral songs. Like that's just not where it's at. And so even with my own artistry, like I'm committed to just putting out good quality. My mom asked me, she said, "What's your goal? You want to be famous? Like what's your goal with music stuff?" And I'm like, "Mom, I just want to put out good music, and we'll see what happens." Like there's nothing outside of that I can think of. Like if I can tour with someone, that will be great. If I can put on quality shows, that will be cool too. But I'm just committed to just putting out good stuff that feels authentic to who I am in the season that I'm in. And yeah, that's it.
So that was like from a broad artist standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, there's 1,000 different jobs, 1,000 different professions within this field. And I think a part of the reason why a Willow doesn't have to strive per se, or it looks like they're getting it right, is because she's a branch of a enormous brand already.
Yeah, true.
But to that young person that is like, I'm really talented, I can sing my butt off, or I have a great eye, I want to get into fashion, I want to get into singing, I want my playing to be known and respected, but I also want to make enough to pay rent and buy a house and start a retirement account. Like, what would your advice to them be?
Then do it. Like, what's stopping you? And here's the thing, like, we can't control the outcome of it, but I can control what I put into it, and then do it. Like, if you don't have the resources to hire a producer or whatever, then you better purchase Logic or Ableton or whatever and start learning how to create things on your own. Watch YouTube videos, watch TikToks, whatever. Like I said earlier, like the only thing that's stopping any of us from achieving what we want to achieve is ourselves. And so if you want to be an artist, then step into artistry, like start writing in your local community that does what you want to do, but just make it happen. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be successful at it or even be rich from it or pay their bills from it. Like none of us know. We don't really know if that's going to work out for us or not, and in that way. But what I can do is just create, and so just do it. And if we're talking like, I hate the word secular. I hate when we do that. Like whether it's like Christian world or that, it's like, man, God was a creator. He created the universe, and like we're all called to create, and so make it happen.
As a bar, that's a bar. And I think the most important thing that you just said is just start creating quality, or get out there and start doing something right.
Yeah. I think quality changes over time based off your resources and stuff, but
But we can look at something from 1950, and if they did the best that they could in 1950, that is timeless art now.
Absolutely.
So if we do the best with what you have today, it will be timeless. And I do believe that is the success.
Absolutely.
Is saying yes to the calling to put out, the calling to, I don't know, answer to your passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then doing the best that you can do with that. And
Absolutely.
And I truly believe, and I send you messages from time to time, like, I see you, man.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not even from the perspective of,
All the music is something that I've, never experienced that level.
it's from the perspective of,
You have it. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
that's what we came for, bro. That's what we came for. That's the goal. No, it's from the perspective of, I see the work. I see the tenacity. I see if that door's not going to open, I'm going to kick in another one. And if somebody has that, they've achieved success, in my opinion. So
I agree.
How is a creative's naivete or lack of information, I don't want to call it ignorance, used against them in this industry?
Yeah. Well, one, if you want to progress in it and you're naive, you won't. You'll hear all of the things that you create or do stolen or taken. You'll sign bogus contracts or agreements like intellectual property, where, or if I use, this has happened to me actually, this is a true story. Sometimes when you write music, specifically when you work for certain establishments and you write music, you might sign away your rights to that music because you created it on a laptop or technology that was owned by that company. And so it's intellectual property. It now belongs to them. And so you do things like that when you're young because you don't know any better. You're just so excited or grateful for the opportunity. And so, just make sure you do your research so because like all you have is your ideas sometimes. Like when you die, like what you have is what you put out there. And there's been too many occasions in my experience where I've created something and someone else owns it. And then I move on and they delete it or it's gone. And I'm like, what the heck? I put my blood, sweat, and tears into that thing, but I don't own it. And so that plays a huge part. I hope I'm answering your question, but.
You are. And that by and large is going to help a ton of people. I can't tell you how many people that we've known and I currently know and help that don't understand these things. And it's not because they're not intelligent. All of them are extremely talented and
you only know what you know.
You only know what you've been exposed to. Yeah. And that's what my whole entire brand company, and I was even doing this before I started the company. Yeah. But I appreciate you continuing the work and not accepting the door being closed, Yeah. And I know that that's going to continue to lead you down a path of success for your life, what God has for you. And you have my full support. You always know that. My full support and my love, my camp, my family. And once again, we still want you to be, your company. We want your brand. So you're going to have to expand to the level that you have an actual fashion branch.
I think there maybe soon. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know what's next, but I want to step into some other things. Working for other people is not necessarily something I'm interested in doing.
Do it
like
tomorrow.
Future. So, tomorrow I'm creating an LLC. Catch me on the gram soon, No.
Give us a quick spill about WYNDR, what you're doing with that, man.
So WYNDR is my music. And so I just put out a single not too long ago called Say Less. It's out on every platform. I have a YouTube channel that's up that I'm continuing to crank out really quality content, I think. And then I just got back from LA 2 days ago recording my second single that's gonna come out later in the summer. It's a vibe. I think it's better than my first song. My mother would disagree. She's wrong. And so I have another song coming out here soon. And honestly, man, my goal is to continue to put stuff out. And then this is the first time I'm saying this like publicly, but it's leading up to a Christmas EP. I've been doing Christmas stuff for the past few years, like really cool videos, and people have been asking me to put some stuff out. And so I want to make it happen. Get my mom on the record with me too. And so it should be cool.
Coming out, man. That's crazy.
It's time.
Well, we're gonna have to do another one of these, but we didn't get to this. But you also know about like the latest innovative way to be independent but get your get your project done, get your content
that's a
created.
whole nother conversation.
That's a whole. Ooh.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna need to stay tuned because we're gonna talk a little bit about that in probably future episodes. But once again, thanks to the Henry, these tacos are fire. Thanks to WYNDR
Glad to be here.
Brand and Ty, my friend. Thanks for taking time out of your actual busy schedule, man. Like, I appreciate it.
We're all busy.
No, we're not gonna do that. We like to have a little bit of petty in our episodes, and not everybody is busy, bro.
Not everybody is as busy as they say they are. That's all.
And that's a wrap on that one.